kind of stuff. And then participation, online participation between students who are not even sitting in the same space. So that one is. And then the manipulation of the hardware itself. Managing the software. I mean, know how can they manage and manipulate the learning platforms. So there's can go on and on about what needs to be done for model and learning online and doing research on ICT.
Thank you for elaborating on that. What was the question I was supposed to? The problem. Please share more about it. Please share more about what you mean with formulating the challenge as the challenge of institutionalizing the center. Because as I read the question, that is a core in the formulation, right? Could you help us design approach for institutionalizing the center of excellence? So could you share a bit more about how that is a challenge?
Thank you for that good question. As we develop these systems, as we develop these different tools, they are fragmented. They are built by different departments. The thinking here is that we need to be semi or fully autonomous so that they facilitate all the other institutes and programs in the university, all the schools. So we need to see how do we build this as an autonomous directorate or an institute that can do all this presentation across the faculty. This is the idea of institutionalizing it, that it's not just the department, that in my briefcase, that is something, but it's for everyone.
What in-house skills you have and what in-house skills you might still need to develop
Very good question, and that's why we have a twin. And now we have a twin here. We have staff capacity, as the professor already said, that
run that kind of center. So even when I gave this nice narrative about having started it from BSU4, it is still lacking the staffing levels to take care of all the needs of other staff members. But also we take cognizance that we are using the same staff members who are actually already delivering. So it's a kind of a constraint here. So we need to develop new partnership, new skills of people who really need to take care of this. For example, we may need a learning designer because, as Professor says, could be a challenge of communication. How do you communicate to students while you're online? It may be different from what I'm doing now. The language, the communication, the tonation, all those things. So somebody should help us to design this, and then we think we can build capacity by training someone. And now I will ask my twin to say something, our twin to say something about the baseline survey. What are these human resource gaps we talk about? Do you have?
Okay, so I think I'll just mention a bit about the human resource in the current directorate of ODEL. So we have the director, the person who leads the unit, and we have also ICT seconded staff from ICT who manages the server, from the server side. And we have a few who now needs training to be aligned, including the instructional designers who will help in content digitization. Yeah. Did you want?
Okay, let's, a lot of hands are coming up right now. Okay, we have a few minutes left for this round, but I think you were first and then you.
Because you mentioned about challenge, Could you share more information about whether, had you had any round of communication with the central government to see if there is feasibility? Did you have some information? Can you share more information about possibility, for example, of getting people hired, if, for example, if you want, because we don't know, we may propose something, but we don't know how it works. Can you share more light on that?
Thank you very much. Can I give to Charles? You see, I have a team.
Oh, you want to give it to Charles?
Thank you. That's a good question. I think what you're asking is the relationship between the university and the government and whether we can get support. I think what we're focusing on is before we even go to that extent, we want to see how we can utilize the few human resources that we have. And this explains our twinning with University of Maseno. University of Maseno has been in the business for the last so many years. At least the first time I went to Maseno was in 2005. And by then, they already had over 5,000 students online. And we think that by twinning with them, we can increase. And we have had very good training. Peter and the team have trained what we call the TOT, and this TOT is now supposed to train the rest of us so that we can have hands-on training. And this will increase the human resource for the implementation. As to the software and the hardware, that is a different story. But we have got a directorate of ICT where this is housed. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Very, very quickly, yes.
Thank you. To add on to what Professor said, already we have the National Council for Education, Uganda, already has a policy issued to all the universities, guiding them on implementation of ODEL in their respective universities. Gulu University, we already have our own ODEL policy passed by the council. The Department of ODEL, we also have it already established under Faculty of Education, passed by council. The initiatives to put ODEL together still remain scattered. And this is where we are saying we need to institutionalize, because government already has the will to support via the policies we have in place. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just take, I have 3 more on my list and then we go to the next round, okay?
Can you share with us if there is somewhere in the world a center of excellence on advanced research on ICT and learning that you're trying to live up to? Like, is there a center that you take as your model and that you want to resemble, and which one?
So an already existing center, yes, that you could reach out to.
Good question, good question. Yes, there are centers, advanced centers of excellence in ICT and learning. I don't know where exactly it is. I remember Googling it. But just like we wanted to contribute to knowledge to the world, we think by doing all these processes and contributing by publishing materials and following up on this, we are actually making some kind of advancement from where we are now to where we want to be. It's kind of visionary statement, though. But you have an answer.
But maybe this is this reminds me of something at Maseno University, and then I'll save it for the next round, okay? Yeah. Let's try without. Okay.
My voice was
loud. But yeah, you have. Okay, but I think it's a trick to speak like this and not like this. Okay. But and not too.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing the challenge. The question I have is about governance issues. So could you please tell us more about governance issues as a problem to institutionalization, because there is a link between governance and also being able actually to institutionalize.
So if the government institutions are problems for the institutionalization? No. Did you get?
She wants to take it from me.
But I will keep it here because we'll just stay with the form, okay?
Okay.
You get the word after.
Okay. Governance structure, as already Robert said, is being established under one faculty. Now, moving it out of this faculty to be semi or fully autonomous will need a kind of a formal structure within the university system, also still approved, that may warrant budget and human resource recruitment and all these things. For now, it's still a baby growing, although the activities are going on. Thank you.
I think we'll go to the next round now. This reminds me of, so this is the possibility to share related experiences, good examples that could be useful. Yes, I'll give the word to Marcelo.
Pardon? I'm supposed to... This reminds me. Oh, okay. Oh, this reminds me. But now there's a lot to say. But I'll talk around, this reminds me about our own experience in Maseno, where to start off the e-learning, the leadership, the university they had a vision around offering e-learning, distance learning and digital skills. And we had to invest in the human resource. And so we, do you say we poached? We looked for young, energetic, very qualified lady from Open University of UK. And that is the lady that gave us the very strong groundwork for Open University. It was able to recruit everybody else and form that structure. That is one. But the other, the second issue is around governance and also to some extent quality. That is where we speak to policy. A lot of things were done outside any policy framework. So a policy must be in place. And I think Robert alluded to that. And we are also going through that much later, even though we are supposedly a bit stronger, through our Commission of University Education. And this has come in, especially after COVID, when everybody is reawakening to the importance of application of digital platform for teaching. So under governance, policy, developing a policy, very important, and then having the National Commission for Higher Education in Uganda and Commission of University Education are now also supporting universities to do that. So there seems to be that reawakening. I hope I've not talked too much.
No, thank you so much for those input, and you can come again if you have more in a minute. Lona.
Hello. This reminds me. This reminds me also about the situation at Aalborg University, and the kind of development of all these initiatives related to the transformation of education and the integration on ICT and learning. And there's within the university there has been many different groups which has been experimenting and developing and have got a lot of experiences. So therefore, I think this idea of building up a center of excellence, then this idea of how to kind of integrate these fragmented initiatives can be very productive if it could be done. But of course, if it can also be just that the mess continues. I think within this area, which is, and therefore, where there's so much going on, and concepts are changing, understandings are changing, formats are changing. I think this is very important, and therefore this idea of having a research component which can maybe in a more free way do some experimentation, which can then feed back to the digital learning Odell model. So in fact, I had a question before. What is the existing mechanisms between research and the more delivery in order to keep it's a ripened development?
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you, Lone. But they're not going to respond right now because this round is just for listening for Tabu. But it's good to hear the question either way. Thank you.
Maybe I actually try it out. Does it work? Do you hear me? Fine, yeah, okay. So it reminds me a bit of an initiative we have been doing sort of as part of BSU4 with the University of Hargeisa, but also linking to an FFU project where we have been building up this or supporting this GIS, Geographical Information System lab. And where, of course, there's a very strong sort of technological component of that. And we were very focused on all the technologies and getting that, getting all of that running. But really learned that it's very important to also prioritize the skills to use it so that immediately the technology is being used and that people have the training to put it into use straight away. So it doesn't just, sit there as sort of a tech lab, but that you actually sort of, to have that training and to straight away try to apply it to your teaching and to your research. Maybe you have to start at a bit of a lower level in the beginning and then build up, but make sure to actually sort of have the matching capacities to really put it into use is highly important. So so we prioritize training a lot to make sure that's it.
That sounds really important. I'll just take you. Okay, I don't know who was first.
Thank you. This reminds me our own experience about the use of technology, but also the plan of becoming a center of excellence. We have planned that, but we failed because of the bureaucracy and going through the institutional requirement. Sometimes it is very much demanding. We decided to do what we planned to do as a center of excellence within the center that we had. Now when it comes to the use of making practical the e-learning or other initiative, I remember that was around COVID. We received a quick training, but we faced some challenges about internet connectivity because it was a bit low. So when you're thinking about having a good center of excellence, you have to think also about the coverage of internet. You have to have a strong one when people will be visiting your website to have easily the information. Thank you.
Thank you so much for raising this question. And I appreciate the contribution given by my colleagues. To handle those kind of issues, there is another alternative way to choose when the connectivity is well and less demanded by people. For example, in our master's program, in the evening, where other staff are preparing to go home, our evening program are for master's program, and then the first, for example, alternance, the first day face-to-face, the second day online learning, and all teachers have been trained to use that smart room. Is the only one who must be connected, checked before, and well equipped, and checked before that. And to answer on the issue linked to the shortage of staff, human, we can. Okay, so, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think now, yes.
Thank you so much. So I would like elaboration on sustainable funding and partnerships, especially the partnerships. So maybe you can answer the question, what role should partners play in supporting the center?
Okay, so that was a question as well. What role will partners have in supporting the center? And I'll just leave the question with you for now. We have another related experience here.
I don't know if I should use it. Can you hear me? Okay. Better to use it? Okay. So I'm going to share my experience at the State University of Zanzibar through the Center for Digital Learning. I think you all went and saw it, how it was today. So the idea started around 2015, and when we started, it was just me and Rama there, just two of us working, with no, pretty much not too much experience. But we did get some training, and then we trained more students. One of them was Salim, and then we had 3 more that we trained that started working in volunteering. So you mentioned about you are concerned about the human resources, right? You can use the students. Train them, and then they can work for you at the center. You don't even have to pay them. So that's how we started. We used the students, we trained them, and it just didn't end there. We also started going through the staff, academic staff. We also trained them, and then we collaborated with Mr. Said Yunus through BSU, because he was responsible for e-learning, learning management system. So we had training the staff, academic staff, through BSU, and he was responsible for that, and it worked under the Center for Digital Learning. So you don't need lots of things, lots of people. You can just use what you have, use the students, use the resources that you have. And the days go by, you might get more funds, and then more people will join, and then the center might work. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. That was a good related experience, and a little bit in line with We Are the System, because you're using what you already have to do the change instead of waiting for something to come. Okay, is there anyone who wants to share perhaps a last related experience? Otherwise, we'll move on. No, okay. So let's do the round of advice now. So now you can bring on the advice you've been thinking about, connected to your related experience. You might try is the prompt to use for that. Fatma.
Thank you, and Tabo, the Gulu people. You might try scaling down your level of ambition. Start somewhere where you have the capacity to start, and then look for opportunities to expand. I think you're overambitious. So yeah, look around. And I will also advise you to find a way or place where you could do benchmarking, learn from the best practice. If you know there is a center of excellence which you ambition to have, If it exists somewhere, try to go and learn, and you may learn a few things that could help you. Thank you.
Thank you. So to consider scaling down ambitions and also look to other centers of excellence in this area that's working well. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you, team, especially Dr. Tabo. You might try mapping the centers of excellence that has been developed and benchmark against that center of excellence.
Thank you. And to benchmark centers of excellence that are already well functioning. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that detail. Yes, so first mapping and then benchmarking. Yes. Did you want to return to your second point?
To find a solution of human. Okay. As now we are twin, with that in, yes, you may try to map other centers with similar mission like ours, and then use that relationship we have to provide a kind of lecture as a guest lecture to cover other resources that you have not on your hand, but you get from our relationship according to the field, AD in IT, AIDA in transitional justice, or other field in education. We have the similar centers which can share their experience and teach your student. Thank you.
That's a good encouragement. Yes. Okay, let me see here.
Thank you. I think the question there was, could you help us design a practical and sustainable approach to institutionalizing? So what they're asking, from my understanding, is they're looking for steps of what they need to do, isn't it, to come up with a center of excellence. So you may try this. So the first step, according to me, is, I can't see clearly. Okay, the first, yeah, let me show it. Yeah. You may try this. I've now had my glasses. Clarify the core purpose of this center. Do you want to, I can see up there the issues of digital learning, the issues of community and industry, there's capacity building, but you talk about ICT, but it's not there. I think you should put ICT there very clearly. But it's on the side. It's not in the core purpose. Yeah, it's research, I can see, but the core purpose, ICT is even mentioned in the Center of Excellence. Okay, yeah, may try. So in that, then the next step, you may try deliberating on the governance model. Which approach do you want to have? Do you want to have a director? Do you want to have a CEO? Do you want to turn it into an institute? What do you mean by center? And what do you mean by excellence? So some of these have to be very clearly defined so that we are not mixing up issues. And then thirdly, there's the sustainability model. How do you want it? We know there's capitation from the ministry coming to the university.
I know the university might budget for the center a bit. That's one way. And then, of course, there's also research funds that might be the center might attract. And then we have the industry. If you attach with the industry or pair with the industry, they can also bring in some money. But there are also short courses you might be offering there, which may also generate some little income. So let's try looking into those in details. Really, what can we do so that we come out with a sustainability model? If we can work out that, then we now have the things to streamline, like infrastructure strategy. What kind of infrastructure do we want there? And then capacity building, I can see it's there. What strategy do we have for capacity building? And then we have research and innovation in the center. But there's one thing which is mentioned there, which is a bit tricky. When you say align with ODEL, many times if you're not careful, ODEL may end up being just a sidekick of the center. Yet it's supposed to be deeply integrated into the center. So that we may also have to really discuss and find how to integrate ODEL in that center, so as it is. Otherwise, once you do all that, ladies and gentlemen, the rest is how inclusive and accessible will it be to everybody else in the university. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So really a lot of good advice here and really breaking it down, clarifying definitions, making steps. I saw your hand quite quickly, Marlon.
Yes, you might try. This. I am trying to give advice. So, when Nick was talking, I came to, and he was mentioning the engagement with industry. I just remembered something that we sometimes do at universities, where we offer courses, not just for our own students, but for professionals. So I was just thinking that maybe you can think about whether that is a possibility to offer, if you're not already doing that, offer courses for industry, for professionals outside your own students. It could also be something that you earn some money on that can strengthen the sustainability.
Thank you for that. Yes, I just promised this gentleman, and then I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. You might try. I want to share with you an experience that we have got Ethiopia University, particularly Bahar Dar University. Just a few months ago, 2 months ago, a team of University of Hargeisa went to Bahar Dar University in Ethiopia. And historically, Ethiopian University in general, particularly Bahar Dar, was not good about ICT. But what they have did was, they just make a separate vice president level to the ICT and development. They call ICT and communication department. So it has its own budget comparatively to other departments of universities, and they have their own staff. They have their own, system, structure, everything. So now Bahar Dar is one of the best universities in terms of ICT and communication in Ethiopia. So as I just heard from your presentation, your ICT is directorate level. So if you increase the budget and also the staff and make it like that Bahar Dar to vice president level, I hope it will have an impact. Thank you.
I'm going to give you some advice, but also based on the experience from Susan. So I've written here, number one. Say what? Remember, you might try. I might try? Yes. No,
You start your phrase by saying you might try.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah, you might try this. Yeah. Well, the first thing is you need to find people who are committed, interested, self-driven, independent learners. So once you have those people, they might make this center successful. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your money, your time, trying to train people, and then nothing happens. So try to find those people. And then I will advise you, since you already mentioned that you have quality and governance issues. So you might want to put this center under what's already there. Let's say you have a department of IC research. If you want to focus on that, then put it under there. Or put it under ICT. That way, it's not just standing or hanging. So whatever ideas you might come, you will be working together. And maybe the university might be able to support easily. So that's my advice. And the third one will be, don't focus much on the infrastructure, complex infrastructure. You may start with a simple, tool that you may have, and those tools with enough people, not enough people, with the committed, interested people, you might make wonders through the center. So yeah. And also you might want to collaborate with other universities for, let's say, training, sharing ideas, research, and all of the things. So if you stand on your own, you might not move further. Remember we had this saying, yeah? Together we build. So you might want to apply that on the here.
Okay, this is the first time the motto is said today. Yeah, I was wondering when it was going to come up. Okay.
So you might try using the thematic strength already you have in transition justice and use that to reach out to interested partners like United Nations related funds to focus on one area. I would argue you intend big, but you start small. For instance, you start with the reaching out through distance learning, and where you incorporate ODEL and other things with that model. So you have a holistic model, but you start with that branch. Maybe this organization may have interest to reach out people, the UNHCR, because the thing is that for now to develop a course and sell it itself is a challenge because of the omniscient nature of our environment. Everything you see, people just do the AI and they get information. So you needed to contextualize with the right partners. So you might try selling this idea to them, but I would really suggest that when you send this idea, not, okay, we want to start a center of excellence in all of the things, they might not be able to fund, but if you target a specific niche, so to say, that could come with some experience. Thank you.
Okay. The last advice of the day, give you the honor.
Last one. The elders, yeah. You might try to remember the mission of Gulu University, transforming communities. Okay, but it's the same meaning, I guess. No, I think I missed two things in this one. What are the societal challenges? And capacity building, is it just about computer access and stuff like that? Or is it also about innovation of solution to the community? Because perhaps you should consider calling it a Barfoot Center of Excellence. So kind of sending the signal that you want to provide solutions to the community. You don't want to be MIT. Well, it will be great, but it will take some years. But you want to be known for providing solutions to the communities.
Thank you. Ending with Gulu's motto. Okay, yeah, let's take a round of applause. Thank you, everyone, for your engagement. Tabu, I'll give the word to you to sum up your key takeaways. You don't have to say all of them, but just a few key points that struck with you, which your colleagues offered. Yeah, is that okay?
Wow, thank you very much. We have many note takers, and we have taken a lot of notes. Thank you for this feedback, and thank you for the engagement you've given to us. I will only say about 4 of these, and the others we shall address them as we go back home to actually reflect upon our ideas and then see how we can make it come to life. Yes, I will start with the vision. The vision is part of our sustainability model here, that we want to continue with our initiatives beyond and beyond, and we continue to grow it to what we want it to be. So we think that ODEL is improving access to higher education, and Good University will be contributing to transforming the society through this mode of training. So I think this is nice, but I did not talk about community challenges. I think maybe there's a gap. I will going to reflect on that one. We shall talk about them. I know they are quite a good number. The issue of professional courses is quite nice. We have also promised in our training with Maseno to offer some short courses, specialized courses to actually be attractive to our teachers in competency-based education or competency-based learning. Because now we have this idea that is competence-based education in East Africa. We think we can contribute by having already to put some of these short clips, short courses, micro courses we call it, then they can be able to take care of them. So we take this very seriously. I think this is good. Collaboration with others, yes, we have to continue collaborating with others, and we shall see how we can come to your doorsteps and follow it up. I think this is also part of what we have been doing. We have been trying to collaborate and learn. Let me just see the last one. Infrastructure, thank you, Maria, that we take it seriously. We start small. We actually started very small. When we started this, it was 2 Mbps. Now it's 300. So each time we kept on moving until where we are today. So we kind of started small. Now we're going to start small again in this area. I think that's good advice. The last one. Hey, mapping this center of excellence. Yeah. We need, we have to go back home and try to map this so that we actually know the kind of vision we are putting together to arrive there. So the vision is so big, but we think looking big is a good way to motivate you to move forward. There are more, I think we should not say them now, we shall take them home. So I think this is enough, and thank you to my team members, to the training, and also to the VC to having given a little bit more insight to all this that we have been putting together. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll meet you.
Thank you. Thank you to the GULO team. So we will finish the case clinic now. We have the last one tomorrow, and I think we'll go straight into the next session on general conditions, right? But I'll ask you to take tables, and then I'll give the mic to Maria and Ulla. And just another thing, could I ask the PhD students to come to me, because I have a separate session with them. So the PhD students from SUSA and from Hargeisa. Because we'll go into another room, so please come to me and we can go together.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, guys, the PhDs are leaving, and we will go to the most interesting session of all the days. General conditions. I know you've been lying awake all night just waiting for this session, and somehow I will get your attention. Yeah. Can I have the ukulele? I'll get your attention. I don't know how to play it. All right, Hageze team, can I ask you to sit down? There's still one PhD. You have to run. Run, Forrest, run. All right, I'm going to ask this. Does anybody know a good energizer where everyone can just stand up at their seat and do something? There's got to be someone in here who knows a good energizer. Come on, guys, your teachers. Mushyamba. Oh, I remember your nickname. I know you have a nickname that's to do with an energizer, but I don't remember it.
Can we stand up? Okay. So maybe we can write a BSU4 by using our face. Yes. Head. Okay? I can demonstrate, yes. This is B, C, S, okay, U, and 4, okay? Okay, let us start. B, okay, S, okay, U, okay, and 4. Okay, thank you. Before we sit, maybe we can clap based on the date of today. Today is Wednesday 20? No. Yes, it is 22nd April 2026, isn't it? So we can clap 2022nd. April is 4, is it? So we clap 4, and we can clap 2026. How can we do it? 20 is 2, isn't it? Okay, that is the class of numeracy. Okay.
Thank you so much. All right. So today, and we're a little bit behind schedule because it's now 3:25, and we're supposed to start at 3, and we had an hour, and that was already maybe a little short. So we're going to have to play it a little bit by ear, okay? But I have a few slides about the major changes that were recently made into the general conditions. And then Tina has some slides on the specific changes related to annexes, okay? This is not the last time you can ever talk to us about this, and we're happy to also take individual meetings after if there are any need for clarifications on certain things. But just, we thought it would be a little dumb to not have a joint session on this since it was just effectuated, and we would also just really like to hear your questions, okay? Of course, we always make too many slides, but they're there. We might run through them a little fast, but then you can get them also just as a kind of point of reference, okay? All right. Does this one, it's on. There we go. All right, so the general conditions were revised across the 3 modalities of funding that DFC administers, so across BSU, the FFU, and the most recent modality, the KIP program, okay? Before we had 3 separate sets of general conditions for these 3 modalities, where, I'm going to say somewhere between 75 to 90% were actually the same, okay? And they might have had like small variations in the way things were described, but with the same meaning. So one of the things that you've seen, and you've all received the general conditions, is that there's now one set of general conditions that apply to all. And if there are specifications to the type of grant, it's specified in the section where there would be a specification, okay? So for instance, if there is a difference between, a certain type of way that we fund for salaries, I know we've been talking a lot about this, then it's specified what are the rules for FFU. There'll be a general section, then a section for FFU if there's a specification there, and a specification for BSU, and a specification for KIP. We think this might be easier for those of you who administer more than one type of grant, because it's easy to identify the differences. But we would, of course, over time like to hear any feedback that you have, if there are any lack of clarity or anything like that, okay? The general conditions have also, they've been rearranged. That doesn't mean that all the text is new. It means that we looked very closely at the order of the way things were written and tried to kind of cluster in sections that made more sense. So you now see 3 parts. The first part is kind of, let's say, overall compliance. Everything is compliance, of course, but overall compliance related to policies, related to the role of DFC, related to the grant holding institution. I think in the previous general conditions, this was called the responsible institution, and it's now called the grant holding institution. So for BSU, that's Skulu, that's SUSA, and that's Hargeisa, okay? So the first part, and I have a slide that looks, you can also see it here, it's described. The first part has all those overall compliance issues, but also like the legal role of the ministry and the legal role of DFC, as well as what you should do in case of any irregularities or non-compliance to rules. It also contains a section on the partnership agreement, which is the agreement between the grant holding institution and the consortium in BSU, in the case of BSU, the consortium of Danish partners, okay? Section 2 is particularly on grant management, so we've collected everything to do with how are you supposed to administer your grant during implementation in this section, okay? We've also changed the order so that before, I think, I don't remember exactly, but it was, you know, the closure of a project came before, you know, the start of the project, or, you know, the whatever report came before something else. So now we've tried to look at it from a logic of implementation. What do you need to know first? And, you know, you can kind of walk through your process of implementation in the section. Section 3 is about community communication and engagement. You also, for BSU, had a section on that previously. There's not a lot of changes to that. All right. So, I feel like this works every second time I press it. This is just an overview of the list of contents. We're not going to go into all the details of it. I just thought it was nice to see it laid out like this. So you can see, you know, policies, agreement, compliance, you know, the responsibilities of the grant holding institution, the financial oversight. In the case of BSU, the financial oversight is for BSU4 only relevant to Gulu because you have a financial oversight role in relation to Maseno and University of Rwanda. It's not actually relevant for the 2 other projects, but it's important that this has now been incorporated as a requirement, and I don't think, like, it was also a requirement before, but it's now more clear. One thing where we are going to ask you to make some changes is the section 4 on zero tolerance policies and requirements. This is something where you know, the requirements coming from the ministry is transferred to DFC and transferred to grant holders. And these have not been spelled out in previous general conditions. But what we are going to ask you to do, if you do not have these policies in place at institutional level, at Gulu, Hargeisa, and Susa, you might have. We have to check. If you have them in place, and you can, let's say, easily adjust them if they don't live up to the requirements specified here, then that's great. Then we would encourage that. If that's not possible within the time frame of the next 2 years, we're going to ask you to make an annex to your partnership agreement about these policies. But we'll talk about the specifics of that, you know, depending on the situation for each of you, okay? There are details in terms of the agreements between partners and stuff. We're not going to ask you to go and revise your agreements between in your partnerships to make sure all of these things are there for now. But of course, if there's a BSU5, then you would look at the list and make sure everything is there. Okay? But I'm happy to go through. I think we might want to set up a whole where we run through all the details if you have questions. But this is just the overview. In the grant management section in part 2, you will see that we have spelled out much more in detail what are eligible costs. We have separated some sections around, you know, what are the requirements in terms of how you employ staff from how you pay them. So it's depending on what's eligible, but what also needs to be in place. We've also, there are some changes to the administration of the study stays, and then of course the narrative reporting and the financial management are really the section where you see the most change. And the narrative, it's not actually going to be so much of a surprise to you, because it's actually what we've been doing for the past 2 years. So now the text actually matches what we're doing, okay? So in that sense, that one is not going to be a big change for you guys. And then the communication and engagement has now added a BSU annual meeting section. So that's the only thing that's a change really there. One thing I do want you to point your attention to is there was a change in some of the terminology used throughout the document, and this is of course a consequence of having 3 different documents that use different terminologies, and we wanted to streamline it so that it could apply across the 3 different types of modalities. I don't think, I mean, of course, if you have any questions about this, then please raise them. However, I don't think it's something that's difficult to understand or that raises a lot of questions as such, but it's just good to know, because when you read the rest of the text, you need to know what we mean by secondary partners, for instance, what we mean by primary partners. And I'm running through these a little bit fast, and then, any questions at the end, okay? So what you also see actually in the beginning of the document is an overview of the changes that has been made, okay? And of course, the message here is, we haven't changed every word, right? It's not like we've sat and then rewritten it from start to finish. But it looks completely different because the structure is completely different, okay? So what we tried to do is kind of make an overview of what the changes are. So if you want to reorient yourself in this document, you can see, okay, for chapter 3, they've added this. Let me go and see what that means, right? I might have to worry or be at least aware of this. And that basically goes for all the chapters in each of the three sections. Is there anything I want to say here that I haven't said? I mean, I guess the chapter 4 on compliance is what I said before in terms of those policies. We would like to know from you guys, and we'll talk about a process around that. What do you have in place? Is what you have in place, does that include, the level of requirements that is now specified on the policies? And if not, can you adjust them fairly easily? Is that something you would want to do within the time frame of BSU4? If not, an annex to the partnership agreement around this. Yeah, I think it's kind of, you can go through it. We never had a section on critical incidents and non-compliance before. So this spells out what it is that you need to do in case, in case of corruption or in case of something else, yeah? And part 2 is really probably the section that has the most changes, because that's where you get into the nitty-gritty of stuff. And you can see, some of the differences or changes are about eligible cost, it's about the administration of study stays, it's about the financial management, and then also project period and closure. I'll say this for now and then see if you have questions. And then chapter 3, basically just a section on the BSU4 annual meeting has been added. And then, of course, there's quite a lot of changes in the annexes, and Tina has a lot of great slides that she will show you briefly or shortly about some of those that are particularly relevant for BSU. So, what I'll do, yeah, maybe I'll do this, who knows? Yeah. Just because this is the section with the most changes, so maybe I'll just leave that up there and then ask if there are any questions. And again, I'm really happy to take, both a joint meeting or individual meetings with you all. I don't know if you've had a chance to actually read through things that have brought up questions for you. If not, then, go home, have a look at it, and then reach out, okay? But any questions here and now, I'm happy to try and answer them. I knew you were going to feel very awake after this presentation. I just knew it.
Yeah, I have a question actually relating to the FFU, if that's okay, because now you are streamlining it, right? So the question, yeah, so no, but the question is, Because I've been in a FU project and the BSU project, and the BSU project is much heavier with administration, with all the log frames and all the reporting, and it feels like we spend half our time on that. And FFU is not like that. So streamlining this, does that mean that FFU will also have to do all that?
I can't say that there are no changes in, you know, your reporting or anything on FFU. You will have some changes in the annexes and a few other things, but it's not that they have then, you know, made the narrative reporting similar to BSU at all. And that's where, you know, for each section, there's a joint section for what covers all three modalities. And then particularly for instance, the narrative section and the financial reporting section, you know, the section for BSU is longer than that for FFU. Any other questions? Administrators, this is your time to shine. You know, this is really your the great opportunity. Yes, Robert.
Thank you, Marie. I just wanted to know that these changes, we already have a partnership agreement signed before. Would it mean that when we effect these changes or revise our partnership agreement? No.
And look at it and see if there are things where you're not sure, okay? But we're not asking you to go and change your implementation plan. We're not asking you to go and change your whole partnership agreement. So that's for the section on partnership agreement. The list of, let's say, in there might be longer than what it was before. And then we're not asking you to go and change that at this point in time. Then it's great to have like a note, like an email that says we've reviewed it and we can see we don't have these things in it, you know? Okay? Because we do want to like minimize what you have to do with this, but there are things that are coming from the ministry as well that, you know, are out of our hands.
Okay, I think what the simple thing is that we go and look at our MOU, MOA with our partners and see where we fall.
We certainly don't have the same, then reach out to me. And you know, for me, it's a very pragmatic exercise. You know, I don't want to ask you to change everything. But I do know that the ministry has directed that for those particular policies, you do have to have a look at it. Okay?
Thank you. This is to chat tonight.
Study stays in Denmark. So it's just the issue about you're sending the invoice to the Danish primary institution. What do we do with that then? Because the money's in the south, right?
It's a great question. and I have to be very frank with you on this particular
And I don't think we actually have the full answer. We need to go back and understand fully how that then works, because we're not intending that you should make a complete budget change. And we have to figure it out, right? This study stage. But anyway, so, I'm actually going to say that we will have to come back on this, because I think we're also realizing some things that don't fully make sense, and not everything is within our hands to change. Yeah, sure. Maybe Tuesday morning. Yeah. But, we'll find out how exactly to do it, because, there are some consequences of it that, yeah.
Thank you. Mine is still on study stay. Study stay. That invoice, because in the budget, the study stays under the south budget, not the north. So, and DFC has been spending on our behalf, and they only give us the actual cost so that we can complete it in our accounts. But now when you say we shall invoice to the Danish primary institution, and as if now the Danish institution or the North partner will be the one paying on our behalf, but they don't have that budget, that side. The budget is under the south.
I understand that this is confusing, and I can just say that for right now, I don't have the exact answer on how we'll do this. Because we need to actually just go back and circle back and figure out, because there are things that, are not fully clear to us either, to be fair. Do you want to add something, Tina?
The reason for this change in study stay was that when we were closing the accounts after like 5 years, quite often disagreement arrived. That we in our accounts said, well, you have received study state for this amount, and then the partner said, no, this is another amount. And then it could take quite some time to figure out what was right and what was wrong. Sometimes a plane ticket, what put on the wrong project, or somebody either with our or with the partner, and this took enormous amount of time to figure out, especially because we had to go back in time to sort this out. So the decision was that if we do that every year, and that you do that with an invoice, then you could see if there is disagreement, you can get them clarified faster, much faster, by the end of each year. So we agree, and that is the basis for this. Clearly, when the Danish institution is invoiced, you could say then the budget also have to be there. But it's the study state is the decision of the partner in the south. So there has to be some kind of arrangement. It's not the Danish partner that decides who comes on the study state. It's the partner in the south. So we need to have some paperwork regarding this, and that's why we're going to revert on that one, and that's the case.
Sorry for the lack of clarity on this particular issue. We're also learning and figuring out, oh, maybe we need to rethink some elements. Any other questions? Yeah?
Thank you. Actually, my question is, since we are now in April, and that means we are almost 4 months left in the year. So my question is, if when are these changes required to be implemented, or when these changes are required to take into effect, and if it's now, what we are doing about the 4 months that's left already. Yeah.
Okay, so I think you might have a budget year that runs from July to July?
From January to...
Okay, oh, so it's 4 months spent. Okay, for anything that has a budgetary consequence, we would ask you to effectuate that in a budget change with the September 1st deadline. Okay? So we would ask you to look at, and this might be relevant, for instance, for the salary issue. Okay? And Tina will present the annex. But the next deadline that you need to worry about is September 1st for the mid-year financial report for BSU, as well as potential budget change. So anything that has a financial implication and a budget change implication, we would expect you to incorporate in that budget that you would submit on September 1st. Okay? And of course, with that budget, you're looking at the full year. So however you spend it up until, now, when they were shared, is, you're following your own, what you did before, but you need to then align it across the year. Does that make sense? Yeah? Huh? No, you can hear me, no? All right, are there any other questions? And if not, we'll go to the annexes and Tina will take over. And of course, there might be more questions that are not particularly to the annexes after. Yeah? Cool. Let's see if this works.
Ja, let's see so. Hvad for en skal jeg trykke frem på?
Oh,
Det er den
oh
der, ikke?
Omira, I think you're sharing the wrong one. I sent one yesterday afternoon that had many more slides. Der er en ukulele, så du kan bare gøre det. Has all the
Hvor lang tid
slides.
har jeg? Sådan cirka.
Hvad siger du?
Jeg skal bare lige vide 10 minutter, og det har jeg altid.
Så har du 10 minutter, så du har taget fart over. Ja, og så kan det være, at vi tager nogle online møder.
Et schema.
Ja.
Så er det fortælle folk, hvad det er, de ser.
Ja.
Og nogle af de der skemaer,
Nu er jeg utrolig varm her. Det synes jeg, der er helt tiden. Nå, okay. Jeg har sat håret op, fordi jeg sveder. Jeg synes, det er varmt. Det er stress, det er noget rod, altså.
nej, når jeg sådan lige sidder og tænker over det, når jeg lige får sådan et, jeg skal lige sådan,
Alternativt så kan man jo bare altid fakturere den grantholding partner. Det betyder så, at man skal fakturere Zulu og fakturere, og så får man en exchange rate difference og alt muligt. Nej, men det kan jo bare modregnes i en udbetaling. Jamen det, altså det er måske fint nok nu, men for eksempel så hvis der, altså der er jo sådan noget med, at det skal være halv-halv eller et eller andet, og og det kan vi jo så ikke leve op til. Det er jeg med på, men jeg tror det der med bare at sige, at man ændrer deres budget, det vil altså være lidt ramaskrig. Men er det et problem, hvis vi sender dem en regning, så modregner vi den bare i den næste udbetaling?
Lad os snakke om det, når vi kommer hjem.
De har ikke fundet. Ja, altså det tænker jeg vil være det bedste. holder de det i deres budget? Altså et, det vil være mindre arbejde for dem i forhold til to. Ja. Ja, okay.
Nordpartnerne sikkert sige, hvorfor det så ikke gælder det sikkert også for os. Så nordpartnerne måske sige, hvorfor gælder det så ikke også.
Det er jo ikke noget udgifter for sig.
Når man på Nordpå FFU for eksempel, ikke? Der sker det det samme. Der sender man også regningen til en dansk partner.
Men der er jo kun relevant for de studerende, af dem er der ikke. Så der kan man gøre det sammen. Og man kan ikke gøre det sammen.
Jeg skal også prøve at finde ud af, hvad man ellers gør, så vi ligesom prøver at få så ensrettet processer, som ikke gør noget her og noget.
Nej, men jeg tænker, med de, altså så mange sydlændinge. Men nordorienteret kan også, nordorienteret får sådan en faktur der, hvor det er dem, der har gjort, dem, der har lavet, ikke? Når det er dem, der har hovedbesøg. Ja. Ja. Men de kan jo så også sige, at vi skal betale faktur, det er ikke, så hvorfor kan vi ikke også bare trække det fra i næste?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I will put a few words on selected analysis. The ones that are new and we think that could be relevant for you. And therefore, I start with annexes. So forget it says appendix. We have sort of standardized everything, so now it's not appendices anymore, it's annexes. It's the same, tomato, tomato, but it's number 10. That's the important thing. And it's about the minimum requirements for an accounting manual. And that's what this annex is about. And it lists what such an manual should include. And it is bullet point. If you look at the annex, you will see exactly the same bullet point. And it's very standard. So I think these things are included in virtually all accounting manuals. But it's, for instance, a chart of accounts, accounting instructions, accounting policies, things like that. It is also a description of the organizational structure, a kind of diagram, who is who and what are the roles and responsibilities to get an overview. Regarding the accounting policies and procedures, there are also a number of bullet points which should be included in such a manual of the accounting policies. It's very standard, it's very classical, like description of the bookkeeping procedures, how you manage fixed assets, description of segregation of duties, the approval processes, the reconciliation processes, the budgeting procedures, how you make the budget, and finally also something about the cash, if you have cash or cash and bank management. It is all, this is exactly the same as is described in Annex 10. There is also a table. Okay, it's not here. There is a table you will see, and this table is to basically saying who's doing what. It's a number of, is listing a set of tasks, and then there's a column saying who, and then you have to fill out every year who is doing the reconciliation, who is preparing the budget, who is approving this, that, with names in it. So there is an overview of who is doing what. So you have just to fill in names. It is procedures that takes place in all organizations. The next one, per diem. The starting point is that it is the organization's own rules that is based for the payment and calculation and payments of per diem. However, and this is important, it must not exceed the Danish rules. And the Danish rules say 625 kroner per 24 hours. And so it must not exceed that. However, there is a Danish rule saying that an employee must be away for at least 24 hours to receive the daily allowance. Therefore, if you're only away for 1 day, you can receive 1/3, that is 8 out of 24, which is 208.33 kroner per day. This is only the allowance. Regarding the hotels, there has to be an invoice. This is not including hotels. The hotels is invoiced, and it has to be reasonable level, taking security and location and so forth into account. And then the last one is if there's 3 meals included, since this is 4 meals, then you have to reduce that is the Danish rules. Questions?
So everybody else can hear your question. Great. Thank you. I just wanted to know, when you write is only away for 1 day, is that everything between 1 hour and 23 hours, or what? Are there any minimum for the daily?
We have calculated 8 hours. So it's not like half an hour. No. We haven't considered that. We said a day is 8 hours. So, I mean, clearly, if you go for a meeting for 1 hour, this is not an allowance. Yeah. That would be the rule of thumb, I would say. Så. Nå, nu ser vi på den rigtige. Det er den samme, er den ikke? Okay. A new appendix you haven't seen before is huh? Okay. You know, I used to be a high school teacher, and therefore I'm used to student talking. But please, only one meeting at a time. This one is a table you have to fill out, where you just fill out the person, the role and responsibilities, function, when this person starts the assignment, and the budget. And it has to be split into the work package and the coordination activities. for the whole project. So that was the first one. Then there is, yeah, it's very loud. I had to do it like this so you don't damage your hearing. Anyhow, this is an Excel sheet. And the same names as you have in the first one, in Annex 13, you will fill in here. And then you'll have to fill in, and that was most likely be done by the department that paid the salaries, how much people have received annually. And there also how much you receive from the BSU. And the whole clue is here that this percentage, it cannot exceed 25% when we are talking about work packages, and it cannot exceed 20% when we're talking about coordination activities. This, you don't have to submit this to DFC. That's not the purpose, but the purpose is that it's a part of the audit. So we'll have to show this to the auditor, and who will include it in the annual audited report. The first one you will have to submit when a project starts with the names and the functions and the budget, but not this one. This is filled out every year.
So guys, remember this is the conversation that we started last year at the annual meeting, and we've had meetings throughout the fall about how can we, ensure a better application of the actual rules and the general conditions. And Tina and Mike have been working on these two annexes. So the annex 13, if this was started from the beginning, you would have submitted that at the beginning of the project. And then now we would ask you to submit it for the September 1st deadline. And then when you do your annual reports for 2026, you would fill in Annex 14. Okay? Because that's then the documentation for, are you following the rules?
Where do we find the forms?
We will share them with you. We haven't uploaded them to the website yet because we haven't introduced them to you, so they will be uploaded to the website, and we will also send the email to you.
Please don't hesitate to ask when you see this and when you look at it and you think, oh, what was, and so on. Please contact me, please ask. Michael first. Same question. But again, please ask. That's much better than include this in the audit, and then if you haven't filled it out correctly. So it's better asking. The last one is the disbursement requests. It's almost the same, but there are some few things. You cannot see it, but it's more like specification of saying the name of the bank and things like that, the street name, everything has to be exact. It explains itself when you see it, but there are somewhat more details here. Then the really new invention here is the bank letter, because you have to, at the start of the project, to submit a bank letter. And that is a letter from the bank that confirms that this project has this bank account, and it should state which bank it is and the codes and everything. And it should be signed by 2 persons in the bank. And sometimes there's even a stamp. You should submit that at the start of the project. every time we disperse money, we will check that it's the same account, the same address, the same bank. And if you, for whatever reason, changes bank, you should submit a new bank letter. So we always assure that we disperse the funds to the correct account. Björk. Yes, yes. So you submit that one sort of at the, exactly, the next disbursement. Yeah. Okay. But if, yeah.
Enough checks and balances on the money that is allowed to go. So this is one of the ways that we check that if you know that Ben, he didn't put his personal bank account, you know, and then the project money went in.
This is a very common thing. A lot of organizations use this. It's for everybody. And it's simply a way to secure that some criminal person cannot request with false papers that we disperse to a fake account. Yeah.
It's not an appendix, but this is just an example of what it could look like. And if we can, I guess we can share the example with them, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I have blanked out everything that was. Yeah.
So that one is not an appendix, but just an example.
It doesn't have to look exactly like this. The important thing is that all this information are here. Banks have different setup, and that's okay, but of course the information has to be there. The disbursements requests are electronically in a closed system. So that's another system where you have to be connected to the system. And if you're not connected to the system, which all Danish universities are, then we have to use this. So it's simply a safety matter. And it's... Huh? Yeah. It's only because you are not connected to this electronic system which we use for the Danish university. It is a closed system, and that's why it cannot be hacked like that. And so we don't need this. But it's only sort of a Danish system. So if you're not included in this system, we will need this for security. But it is a Danish system, so there's no chance that you can be included in the system. It's like payments in the public sector in Denmark have this closed system. Yes, because it's the bank that confirms that this is the project account. Whoever do that in the bank, I mean, they have different charts and different authorities, so whoever can sign for the bank. It is normal for banks to make a bank letter like that, so they won't be surprised. Other questions?
BSU needs to do when, that's not included in the general conditions. The general conditions have like a section in the beginning where it says one of the major changes to this section, but because there were so many structural changes and just like formulation, small formulation changes, we couldn't list all the changes because, you know, we started and it was like 5 pages long. Yeah. I will, I mean, obviously by Tuesday morning you will have this, guys. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
But maybe just to clarify, that will be for BSU. I'm not fully familiar with all the changes for FFU, so for that, but again, I think if you actually open the document and look at it, then you will see in each chapter, it does have specifications, FFU specifications, BSU, okay? I know that for the FFU, like the newer projects in FFU, for instance, you've already been asked to do the policy thing, you know? So some of you might already be familiar with that, okay? All right, I will make the checklist for changes. And again, I'm just going to reiterate this, like, we're very happy to support and answer any questions. This has also been a huge process for us because we had to harmonize the modality, like the conditions for 3 different types of modalities, because this is what we were told to do by our auditors. So we actually think that just once you actually read them and get to know them, maybe it will actually make things a little bit... Of course you do, Michael. You know how things grow on you? No, but I mean, of course, the 2 like major things that you're not surprised about is those salary tables that you need to fill in for BSU. But they've been in the works for a long time. We've had a long dialogue about them. And then, of course, the policies of that accounting manual annex. And it might be that you have an accounting manual and you can check it off and then there's nothing you need to do, right? Then you just need to make sure that we know that you have it. Yeah? All right, any other questions for general conditions? I feel like I will do a checklist and then we'll come back on study stays and other things. And then if needed, we can hold some online meetings where we go to specifics with you all. Okay?
Let me just ask something.
Please don't send your accounting manual to us. It's just something that you have, and when they are monitoring with it, or if the auditor asks for it, then you have it. But you don't need to show it to us or send it to us or something like that. But of course you need to have it, and the auditor might ask for it.
The audit requirements. The audit requirements, I don't think they change much, but they might have a few updates to also, for instance, include the section on the salaries issue, And just coming back to your question before, we would really, like those things with the salaries, we would then expect if there are changes to how you want to divide, the money between you in terms of salaries because of the 20 and 25 maximum, and those are over the project lifespan. Yeah, they're not by year. They're over the project lifespan. So you can have 10% in 1 year and 30% in another. Okay. But we would expect that you would review that for the September 1st deadline in terms of other changes to what we have. There might not be changes. Then you document those. What is existing in Annex 13. If you have changes, you still document it in Annex 13, and then you effectuate what changes there are in the budget. Okay? Make sense?
But this calculation you fill out every year of the salaries, that is also a sheet with the accumulated figures, where you have to take all the salaries. It means like adding each year. So there will be one for the specific year, and then one that adds the year. So, for instance, when you next year fill out 2026, there will be one template for 2026, and then one for 2023, 24, 25, and 26 accumulated. So there will be 2 sheets. And this is our way of checking that the total amount does not exceed these 2 figures, the 25% and the 20%. So.
Yeah, but the same limitations were there, so it shouldn't be a big problem really, because you should have been within those limitations already, and if you weren't, then you would have to adjust it over the coming years somehow. Yeah. And if there's something where there is a big challenge, then reach out to us early so we can see if there's a solution. Okay? Yeah. We would much rather that you reach out in June with, listen, this is how it looks for us, and we know that this is whatever, and then we discuss it, we agree on something, and you can submit this to the September 1st deadline based on what we agree, rather than waiting to the deadline and then highlighting it, and then we have a whole process afterwards. Okay? Because there might be for some individual staff where it's difficult because of how it was administered in the past to remain within, those hard, like those senators. But I would just say reach out to us, and then we'll see what the solution is. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you know this, you were there last year, so I'll just bring up the information. So all of this started with Mike's visits to all projects in January and February last year, where he did a financial monitoring visit and identified some, lack of consistency in how it was applied in terms of the requirements and the general conditions, right? So there were both very different ways of, let's say, interpreting those 25% max, and they weren't always, adhered to. So we will be looking at primarily from now, the future, and then if there's something in the past that we need to account for, we'll find ways to do it. Okay? We want to do this pragmatically, but there are things that, also for us to live up to the rules that we have to do. All right, did I just see Julie? Did she come back? She asked when we were closing. Okay, well, I guess, unless there are other questions, then I guess we can close this, and I know there's tea, so maybe somebody's keen on getting some tea. I mean, are you not, this is not picking you up?
Okay, good evening, everyone. This one, I think. I go back. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, so as I've been introduced, my name is Rabia Yusuf Ismail, and as referring to Dr. Fatma's presentation yesterday, she has done a lot of work on baseline and identifying what is the gaps are and what needs to be done. So this is a follow-up study to close those gaps. So we are moving from the baseline of the problem and identifying the problem, and now we are moving to intervention. So my study basically is to co-create community-based intervention on mosquito control and assessing the feasibility of those interventions. So as we all know, malaria remains the major global health challenge across the world, but then even in Zanzibar, it is a problem and it still remains a problem. And this is due to the climate change we are facing issues, globalization, and also urbanization locally. As we know now, Zanzibar is hosting a lot of people to and fro from mainland and other countries. So as you can see, we have a lot of mosquito-borne viral infections and disease apart from malaria. So saying that now we have two issues going on with the mosquitoes. So we have malaria, which is commonly known, but then we have these viral infections like chikungunya, yellow fever, and dengue. And we have also experienced that in Tanzania, mainland, and in Zanzibar. So going to the data exactly, we can see that Zanzibar was almost to malaria elimination, but we experienced some resurgence in 2023, 2024, almost 18,000 cases that were reported. And also we have seen, it was reported that there are increasing annual parasite incidence. That was 13 per 1,000 population. But also, there was a study conducted that revealed that despite that there is malaria issue ongoing, the arboviral exposure has been identified also. And these studies were conducted under DFC, and they were the results of BSU4. And one was that referred to what I'm here today because of Dr. Fatma's study in 2021 that identified that despite that we have malaria mosquito species, but then we also have another species causing mosquito-borne diseases, Aedes. And her study revealed that it was mostly in urban areas. So coming to see what has been done in Zanzibar, there has been a lot of interventions going on. There are insecticide-treated nets, indoor residual spraying, there are community-based larviciding, and also there are ongoing health campaigns led by community health volunteers. So it's not that there's nothing has been done, but we have this intervention, but why we still experience these mosquito issues? So, sorry. So why we still have this issue is because these interventions mainly targeted only one vector. Sorry, Michael. Malaria. So it is inclined to only solving the mosquito that causes malaria disease. When we have the study that say we have other species, but nevertheless, the interventions were mainly centralized with the experts, and they were not involved in the community or not implemented with the community in their specific context level. So that was another issue, that community were just involved during the implementation and not the design. But also we had limited integration of behavior, environment, and social factors that can enhance the intervention to work. So my study, after identifying those gaps, we suggest the solution as follows: to have an integrated control that target malaria and arboviral vectors, but then to have an intervention that is environmentally safe and sustainable. So we know that community-based intervention are at somewhat level safe, and they have the chance to sustain. So coming with the approach of co-creation, involving the experts and the community as a partner or key stakeholders in coming up with the design or the idea of intervention, that is what our study is suggesting. Because at the community context, we'll be getting the behavior, what they are doing, and what is needed to done. Also, we learn the environment, why this intervention work and why, but also the social factors. What if this intervention is not accepted by the community? Then we cannot get that successful story of eliminating those mosquitoes. So these are the suggestions, and this is how we propose to do it. So the main objective of my study is to determine the feasibility of implementing these co-created community-based mosquito control interventions, targeting the larva sites in domestic and peri-domestic settings. When I say breeding sites or mosquito larva sites, I mean that there are a lot of areas nowadays, there are human factors that litter, that there is a poor waste management ongoing. That is one of the contributing factors that there are breeding sites, the increase in breeding sites of mosquitoes. So I use technical words, domestic and peri-domestic, but in normal language is just the breeding sites that are caused by human and poor waste management. So this is what I intend to do. I will be assessing the existing intervention, also assessing the existing larva habitats. Then from there, I will be able to move to the second objective, that is to co-create with the community on the existing intervention and what new ideas can be put in to make it work. Then we'll be doing the piloting of the intervention, and then we'll be evaluating the intervention, the feasibility of that intervention, to determine the effects of this intervention, co-created intervention, to see that how far it can be successful, and it can also help us to advise the government to either adopt it, or if it's not successful, then we have somewhere to start to move on to another solutions. This will be my study design. It has 4 phases, as I explained earlier. We have the baseline, then the developing of the interventions, where the stakeholders, the experts, the community, and the government officials will be involved to have the co-creation of the intervention. Then we'll have the phase of doing piloting and the 4th phase of feasibility assessment. So I've talked about a lot about co-creation, but just a snapshot of what co-creation is. This is my own rough handwork that also made me understand about co-creation. So co-creation involves workshops where for standard level it has 5 workshops. The first one, as you can see, it's about to present the findings from the baseline survey and sharing with the community and the experts. But then from there on now, we come to the second workshop, which is about collaborative framing the intervention. So we focus on basing on what we have and what we want to do and what we are going to do. Then from there, after agreeing which approach are we taking, then we design the prototype of the solution. And the 4th workshop will be finalizing the package. And then we are set off with planning and piloting to see that if the interventions will work or not. So that is the co-creation. I think it gives a glimpse of what it is. So this study, intervention study, is divided into 2. My study, as you can see, it's about design and feasibility. But then there is my partner in crime, who will do the effectiveness. And he has a lot of things doing with the lab, so he'll come and explain to you. Currently, the status I'm experiencing that I sought ethical clearances from both ZAREC for Zanzibar, because I'm doing the study in Zanzibar, and from the university I'm enrolled in. And at the moment, we are preparing for data collection and training the data collectors or the research assistants. And we're expecting to start the field work in less than 14 days if all goes well. So I thank the sponsors, the DFC, and all who supported this study and made me stand here and present. Thank you.
I think I would propose, if there are some few questions, we get it at when we are done with all presentation. That will save more time. Mr. Masood, come on, please, for the next presenter. Thank you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. From Work Package 1, my name is Masood. I am a PhD fellow registered at KSMC University. Rabia has been taking you through, in summary, details on how we want to create MBD-free communities by using mosquito control intervention design through co-creations. But no matter the type of the mosquito control intervention that we want to implement, the effectiveness of that intervention has to be evaluated and assessed. And in light of that, ladies and gentlemen, that responsibility has been placed on my shoulders. And in the superb supervision of Michael Alifrangis and 2 other local supervisors, my PhD studies goes with the title, Evaluating the Effectiveness of the Mosquito Control Interventions on Mosquito Bites and Viral Pathogen Exposures among the community members in Zanzibar. Well, so much has been said on the risk of the mosquito-borne transmission as a global health threat. And as far as that risk is concerned, Zanzibar is no exception. For its position alone as one of the important tourist destinations, which create high influx of people from different areas, puts it in a vulnerable state for potential introduction of the MBD pathogen. And on top of that, in another Danida-funded studies, it has been well demonstrated that many areas in Zanzibar have widespread and they are highly infested with mosquitoes of the different species, including Aedes and Anopheles, which are the principal vectors in transmission of the mosquito-borne disease pathogens. And Abia has also outlined the recent malaria problem in Zanzibar. Despite the substantial success that has been made in reducing the malaria in Zanzibar, but malaria is still a problem, and it is now resurging in epidemic format with the recent epidemic that took place in 2023-2024 surveys and evidence. The issue of disease surveillance and vector control strategies in Zanzibar is another issue that is worth highlight, because the current vector control strategies in Zanzibar focus exclusively on Anopheles and malaria, and this is for historical reasons. And stay with me here now, because it has also been found out that Zanzibar healthcare system has a limited readiness in detecting, controlling, and manage the mosquito-borne viral diseases. And this all together leads to the underdiagnosis and reporting of the mosquito-borne virus and mosquito-borne diseases, particularly mosquito-borne viral diseases. The main objective of my study will be to evaluate the effectiveness of the interventions by assessing the human exposure to mosquito bites and determining the seroprevalence, and lastly, to detect the viral pathogen which cause acute febrile illnesses among the community members in Zanzibar. So we're going to implement interventions, and after implementing the intervention, we expect the breeding site of the mosquito to be reduced, and in doing so, the number of mosquito will also be reduced, and therefore, the exposures, the human exposure to mosquito will also be reduced, and also the seroprevalence to different mosquito bites, to different mosquito-borne diseases pathogen will also be reduced. My study has about 3 specific objectives. One is to assess the level of the human mosquito bite exposures among those community members. Here, we are going to make uses of the antibodies that are produced in the human blood when the mosquito bites the humans. So therefore, we are going to make use of those antibodies to determine their level of exposures to mosquitoes. And secondly, we are going to determine the seroprevalence of the mosquito-borne viral infections. Also here, we are going to detect the antibodies produced against the mosquito-borne viral diseases by using different diagnostic approaches. And basically, we are going to do serology. And lastly, we are going to detect and characterize mosquito-borne viral pathogens that are circulating in the blood of the community members in Zanzibar. So the overall study design will be longitudinal quasi-experimental. We are going to do pre and post, and to increase the possibility of detecting the virus which cause acute febrile illnesses. So we are going to have a hospital sub-studies where we are going to enroll the hospitalized patients, and we are going to test them if they have active mosquito-borne viral infections in their blood. So that will be for specific objective 3, and longitudinal quasi-experiment will be for specific objective 1 and 2. To achieve specific objective 1 and 2, we are going to do parallel household surveys and demographic surveys. Here, we are going to enroll all those eligible participants after they have been clearly introduced into the studies, and they give their consent to participate. After they give their consent to participate and sign the consent form, we are going to draw the blood samples from their veins, and we are going to use that blood to determine their exposures to mosquito bite, and as well as the seroprevalence. In demographic survey, we are going to use well-structured questionnaires to collect information such as age, sex, education levels, and other demographic variables. For specific objective number 3, here we are going to make uses of the hospitalized patient which present themselves in the hospitals with symptoms of acute febrile illness, and after they have been well introduced into the study and they give their consent to participate, again we are going to draw their blood samples. We will screen them for malaria, and then if they are positive, they are going to receive treatment under the standard treatment guideline of Zanzibar. If they are negative, we are going to use that blood sample to screen them for arboviral pathogens. And here we are going to use the real-time PCR that we have in our lab. These are for laboratory methods, how we are going to achieve those objectives in a laboratory perspective. So for specific objective number 1, which aim to detect the mosquito bite exposures, we are going to detect these antibodies. I think the picture speaks for itself. Even Mwashamba can understand. So we are going, during the mosquito bite, the mosquito introduced the salivary proteins into the human, which elicit the human to produce antibodies, and we are going to make use those antibodies to determine their exposures. And for objective number 2, we are going to take the patient blood samples. Again, if they have been infected with mosquito-borne viral pathogens, they're going to have antibodies against those viruses, particularly IgG, as well as IgA if the infection was recent. So, but here we are going to focus on IgG. So we are going to detect IgG to determine their seroprevalence. And basically we are going to use Luminex machine, which I had a pleasure, a two-month study stay in Denmark to be trained at Copenhagen University. So I trouble Michael a lot, but so this lady behind me is Louisa. She was the one who was training me on uses of the Luminex machine at Copenhagen. And lastly, for specific objective number 3, we are going to take the blood from those hospitalized patients. We are going to do DNA and RNA extractions, and we're going to run those extracted nucleic acid in qPCR. I think you saw this real-time PCR machine when you visit a lab today. This was brought under the BSU4 project. So we are going to run the PCR to identify the identity of the pathogen that is found in the human samples, whether they are Plasmodium falciparum, or dengue, or chikungunya, or any other viral pathogens. And in terms of data analysis, we are going to do comparison. We are going to do pre and post comparison in both shahirs. We know we have 2 shahirs. One is control and the other is intervention shahirs. So we are going to make a comparison on the data that are found in terms of the mosquito bite exposures and the seroprevalence, as well as the mosquito-borne pathogen that were originated from the hospitals, and to see the effectiveness of our intervention in terms of these issues. Until this moment, several progress has been made. I have already secured all necessary ethical approval from KSMC universities, as well as from Zahari, and also a research permit from Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, and also my proposal has already been fully approved. And the good thing is I've been able to initiate the procurement of the laboratory supplies in order to start my fieldwork. And the good thing is they have already been delivered. Today, they have been delivered. Yeah. So the next step is to organize the team for field. And here we are going to have 1 clinical officers, 1 nurses, and 1 lab tech as my field team for data collection. And we're going to kickstart the field work soon as you leave. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Masood, for that very inspiring. I learned a lot today. I'm also looking to learn more from you. So that's make an APH-related intervention. And now I'm also inviting Hamis to start to present on his PhD also as well. This is a different world now, but it is linked. It's all about health, but in a different environment. So I think Mike is trying to say whether I can live with this new environment or not. We'll see. This is not Artemis 2.
I'll use this one. Good evening. I'm Hamis, and I'm standing here today to present my research proposal as well as the progress that I'm going on with my research. I'm a PhD student at the University of Dar es Salaam, and my supervisor is Dr. Blandina and Professor Peter Steyer in Aarhus University in Denmark. And my research topic is assessing spatiotemporal seagrass coverage and restoration potential in Zanzibar. When I say spatiotemporal, I mean spatial means location and temporal means time. This means I'm going to observe changes of seagrass over time, specifically from 2016 up to 2026. The background of this study, let's start with definition of seagrass to see what is seagrass. Seagrass itself are a flowering plant, angiosperm, which is monocotyledon, found in shallow marine water, and are adopted fully submerged condition. That means seagrass is like other kind of grasses that we see in terrestrial, but this one is kind of different because it is adapted to marine or saline water. Some of them are in the submerged and some are exposed to the sea. Once you visit the beach, sometime you can see it. They do not have a single evolutionary origin, but are polyphyletic group, which means they are coming from different species. But they can be defined by a particular ecological niche they inhabit. Seagrass often occur in proximity to and are ecologically linked with coral reef, mangrove, salt marshes, bivalve reef, and other marine habitat, which means seagrass, when you see there in the ocean, you can see other marine ecosystems that are inhabited within the seagrass. For example, coral reef. Within the coral reef, you can find the seagrasses. And within the seagrass, you can find some fishes who are living there. Most species occur as mixed meadows and in shallow water, except for Salasodendron ciliatum, which occur as monospecific extent, which means these seagrass species are in two. Some of them are mixed, they live together, but some are living alone. I mean, one species you can find alone in the area. For example, this one, Salasodendron ciliatum. This always stay alone and will not mix with any other kind of a species of seagrasses. And here in the pictures, you can see some of the seagrass species that are normally found in Zanzibar. Normally there are 12, but these are the most important species of seagrass that are found in Zanzibar with English name and Swahili name. As you can see here, we have Inhalus acroin, Nyasimlala. And also we have Cymodecia cerulata. This one, Cymodecia cerulata, is now called Oceana. They transformed the name from Cymodecia cerulata to Oceana cerulata. And these pictures, you see there, it has been taken at Chumbe Island there when we were doing pilot study, so that you can see there are some seagrasses and corals that inhabit each other. Seagrass form productive coastal ecosystem with high biodiversity, drive important biochemical and ecological functions, which means seagrass are very important ecosystem that we can say that we depend on it. Although some of people, they don't know the importance of seagrass to our life, but today, some of you will understand it and you'll take the message to the other people so that they can understand the importance of seagrasses and they can take care of it. They provide social ecosystem services such as carbon sequestration, nutrient uptake, biodiversity conservation, and habitat to marine life, such as fish and other marine organisms. So as this study is focusing on seagrass restoration, there is one thing in here which is restoration of seagrasses is expected to restore the ecological and the socio-economic benefit that seagrass meadow provide to coastal ecosystem and the community. Why we are doing a seagrass restoration? Because some of seagrass ecosystem services now degraded because of the loss of seagrasses within the area, especially in Zanzibar and other parts of the world. Let's see the problem. What are the problems that made me to focus on seagrass restoration on my study? Despite the importance of seagrass, like we have been saying in the previous slide, it is experiencing ongoing loss globally and in Zanzibar, mainly due to anthropogenic stressors. This is not only the causes. There are also climate change and other natural factors that lead to the seagrass degradation, but most of the attempts are anthropogenic stressors are the main causes of seagrass degradation. For example, we have nutrient sediment loading, destructive fishing gears like cyanide and untreated sewage. These are the most contributing factors to degradation of seagrass in Zanzibar and other side of the world. Degradation rate globally is 7 annually, but specific data for Tanzania and Zanzibar are uncertain due to lack of status and trend data, where this study is going to establish such kind of data from 2016 up to 2026, and will be as a baseline for other people who want to do seagrass restoration and other research based on restoration. Currently, management efforts include seagrass mapping and recognizing restoration potential, while seed-based has shown success in some region, attempt in Zanzibar has failed. I mean, seagrass restoration, there are in 2 common types, which have seed-based restoration and also transplantation, which we took some shoot of the seagrass and then we go to the field and transplant it. Some of them, they are going to the field and collect some seed of the seagrasses and then they go and plant it. But in case of seed-based restoration, most of the attempt has been failed. For example, there is one in Dutch Wadden Sea has been failed, and also even in Zanzibar. They have been tried in 2020, but it failed. There are many reasons for failure of this. Some of them we will discuss in the next slide, and you will see why or what are the most factors contributing to the failure of that restoration. Vegetative transplantation, which is transplantation method of restoration, is well established globally and has shown potential in mainland, though its performance under Zanzibar local environment remain unclear, which is the main focus of this study. I'm going to restore seagrass ecosystem using transplantation methods. To effectively guide seagrass restoration, it is crucial to understand the extent and causes of seagrass loss and suitable environmental condition, as well as RM, which is reason for decline of this marine ecosystem, and also method of seagrass restoration. We cannot restore seagrass without understanding the methods. Which method is suitable under this species to restore? These are the also contributing factor to the success of seagrass restoration. Therefore, this study aims to provide the inaugural island-wide information on spatial temporal change in seagrass coverage from 2016 up to 2026, information on suitable areas, which means which area are suitable for seagrass restoration. So this study will provide such kind of information to help those people who want to do active restoration. Again, species, which species of seagrasses support for restoration, and which environmental conditions support them to grow. Also, with this study will contribute to understand those kind of information. Again, methods. Which method is good for this kind of species and other kind of species? Which is not good for this kind of species, and under what environmental condition is suitable for them to grow? Okay, now let's go direct to the objective, which is the main objective or general objective is to assess spatiotemporal change of seagrass coverage, identifying suitable area for restoration, and compare the suitability of seagrass restoration methods under local condition to inform effective seagrass restoration in Zanzibar. Specifically, to assess spatiotemporal change of seagrass coverage along the coast of Unguja Island, to identify suitable area and the species for seagrass restoration, to compare the performance of sprig and core methods of seagrass restoration across different species of seagrass under local condition, to monitor environmental condition and biological stressor of seagrass within restoration site. Methodologies of seagrasses restoration and other part of the objective. For objective action, we'll use GIS and remote sensing, where Sentinel-2 data will be collected from 2016 up to 2026 to observe seagrass change over this time. This kind of data will help us to know the trend, how seagrass has been changing. Once we understand the changes of seagrass over time, we can identify which area is supported for seagrass to grow after doing in-situ measurement to see how environmental condition is supportive to restore seagrass. Also, for part of analysis, we have change detection analysis, which will help us to understand those changes that have been said. And for output, we will have a spatial temporal map which shows the trending of data, how seagrass has been changing over that time. And also we will have a statistical graph and table to see the data. The second objective, to identify suitable area and species for seagrass restoration. First, we will do in-situ measurement to understand the environmental condition of the area, if it is supportive or not. After that, we'll do also drone mapping and field the GPS for ground truth of the satellite as well as drone data. Also, we'll do field observation to understand which species are available in this area, because we are not going to restore the whole seagrass across Zanzibar, but we will select some area, specifically 2 areas, to do this kind of restoration. How I'm going to choose those 2 across Zanzibar or across Unguja Island? Change detection analysis will allow me to see where the seagrass has been lost. After understanding that parameter of environment, then I will choose this area is good for restoration. And I will not choose this for just qualitatively, but I will do quantitative, which is multi-criteria decision analysis, which have supportive of environmental data with human factors. So then we'll choose the 2 areas for seagrass restoration. Yep. Okay. To compare the performance of sprig and core method for seagrass restoration, also data collection will have in-situ data. As you can see, we'll collect some light, temperature, water clarity, which is very important data to know why we want to establish seagrass restoration. And the seagrass restoration trial will be conducted using core and sprig methods. These core and sprig methods are transplantation method of seagrass restoration, as well as we will do field monitoring to check for survival rate, growth, and coverage expansion, as well as spatial photograph. I mean the photograph that has GPS location, which will help us to identify the area. Also, correlation analysis will be done after collecting those environmental parameters to see which environmental parameter is supportive for seagrass restoration. Always we have to do T-test analysis or U-test analysis. It depends. If our data pass the test of normality, we will do parametric test, which is T-test and U-test. If not, we'll do non-parametric test. Okay. These are the schematic representation of how seagrass restoration will be done. And the last one is seagrass monitoring. Like we will do photosynthetic performance, monitoring, and other, and then we will do some descriptive statistics to show the trend of monitoring throughout the year. Yeah, and here are the status of my PhD. As you can see there, proposal submission has been done, proposal defense has been done, and past pilot studying has been done, as well as now I'm in the process of research permit and data collection. As you can see the pictures here, it is me with my colleagues and supervisor while we were doing pilot studying. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hamis. I know people would like to really continue this, but we have to push because it is really evening. So with that remark, I want, please, Kasim, go ahead and be efficient in time, please, okay? No, if you can spend 10 minutes, we'll be happy. 7 minutes?
Hello everyone. Habari za jioni. We say mambo. Poa, yes. Okay, my name is Kasim.
I think for the interest of people to see, maybe you sit there so that.
My name is Kasim Hashim Ame, a PhD student from University of Dar es Salaam, and supervisor Professor Sheila from University of Dar es Salaam, Dr. Shana Tairova from Aarhus University, and also Professor Kim Kostava from Aarhus University. So my title is Assessing Marine Coastal Ecosystem Health and Oil Pollution Impact in Zanzibar using bioindicator and risk evaluation approach. So, as we know that worldwide population is increasing and also industrial development is increasing, this increased demand for oil extraction, transportation and storage, as well as usage. But at any stage of this, either extraction, transportation and storage, oil spill can happen and result oil pollutions. So when we say in case of marine pollution, is the release of liquid petroleum containing toxic hydrocarbon into marine ecosystem. So this can be caused by natural seep, accidental spill, operational discharge, offshore drilling, pipe leak, and also land-based runoff. And you can see in some areas under different years, spill has happened. So when we say marine oil pollution severely impact marine life through toxic injection, habitat destructions, and loss of marine life. So as we say on title, we are going to use bioindicator approach. So when you say bioindicator means an organism or part of an organism containing information about its surrounding environment. So when, for instance, fish, crab, bivalves, and others. But when you say bioindicator approach means using living organisms, either macro or micro, plant or animal, to assess, to detect, and monitor environmental health, pollution level, and ecosystem change. So in case of statement and gap, so as we know that Zanzibar has established a blue economy sector with emphasis on fisheries, tourism, and oil exploitations in promoting socio-economic development. But as we know that the population of Zanzibar now is increasing, and also fishery activities increasing, tourism activities increasing, this increased demand for oil needs and oil usage, as well as increasing production of waste, which is poorly managed. So there are some studies that has been done which mainly focusing on assessing contamination in coral reefs, pelagic fish, sediments, prawns, and other stuffs like sediment and worms. But to date, there are no research that has been done to assess Zanzibar coastal ecosystem health status with emphasis on toxic organic compound derived from oil, particularly using bioindicator approach. So this study, therefore, will apply the bioindicator approach to assess the Zanzibar coastal ecosystem health. So aim of this research is to develop and apply tools for environmental assessment of Zanzibar, particularly with focus on PAHs. PAHs is standing for polyaromatic hydrocarbons, which is derived from oil. So specifically, my research will have 4 objectives. The first one is this one, to quantify PAHs and pH metabolites concentration in fish. In fish, we will use goby fish, and we have about 3 species of goby fish. We will extract sample from their bile, and also we will use crabs, Scylla serrata. We will extract their urine, and we will evaluate this method as biomarker of oil exposure. Second objective is to assess oil pollution sensitivity of marine invertebrates. Scylla serrata, Anadara antiquata. The first one from this one is Scylla serrata, crab. Second one is Anadara antiquata, what we call bivalves. That is scientific name, don't be scared. And the third one is Capitella capitata. And the last one is Acrocalaunus giba. That is scientific term. You should have a glass of water when you pronounce it. So the third objective is to assess pH-induced histomorphological impairment, particularly on Scylla serrata and Anadara antiquata with Capitella capitata. Okay. And the fourth objective is to develop a robust oil pollution risk assessment from framework from Zanzibar coastal marine ecosystem. So these are study areas, 4 from Unguja and 1 from Pemba. So these are the species that I have already said. So this is my study design will comprise two areas, in situ study and in vivo study. In situ, we will collect sample directly from the field and temporarily store them into a cooler box and transport them to the laboratory for analysis. And also under in situ, I will collect live specimen for in vivo experiment. So under in vivo experiment, I will expose selected species with oil. And then we shall see what we'll expect. So let's go quickly to the in vivo. Before starting in vivo, we will acclimatize our specimen for 24 hours. After that, I will start oil exposure with WAF. WAF stands for water accommodated fractions. That is water mixed with oil. So that will be used for treatment. And I will have about 5 treatments with different concentrations, 4 treatments with different concentration, and the 5th one will be a control. So I will do it in triplicate. Okay, so sample analysis we will do using spectroplurometer as we see it today, and also HPLC. And also we will use microscope for histomorphological analysis. And this is about our plan for data analysis. And this is how significant our research is. So thank you very much. And yes.
So can you tell us where you have reached for your PhD so far? You didn't tell us. What is the status of PhD?
Okay, thank you very much. To date, I have managed to finish proposal writing and proposal defense, and now I'm waiting for research approval. So I hope next month will come out, and soon I will start my data collections. Thank you very much.
So please allow me to, can we big another round of applause for all pitches? You know, they are in the learning process. Sometimes it feels so bad if you put someone pressures, but you have also to know that is also part of learning. So you have to take it easy. Anyway, so we will invite some few questions before we can call it a day for today, because I know people, they are really want to make some preparation for the dinner ahead of us. Yes, Michael. If you can shout out enough. Yes.
Yes, we can.
Now, secret study, very interesting and so nice to see. Really nice to see that environments that you're focusing on. One thing that's as secrets, I don't think you mentioned climate changes, temperature changes of the water, of the sea. How does that affect secrets? Because to my understanding, this is the killer. And it is still a large, all due respect, a large case, because it is increasing temperature. Yes.
Thank you. Now to respond. If you can shout.
The cause of sequence degradation is not only human operations, but also natural factors, especially climate change. So within a climate change, there is a variability of temperature, and even we call it sea surface temperature changes. It's also affecting sequence cycles. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So will you take any measurements for that in your restoration? Any parameter you will involve in testing how?
Yeah. So one of the parameters is measuring sea temperature. But this is not only for climate. It's the local sea surface temperature that I'm going to do.
Thank you. Any other? She didn't hear anything about cooperation and citizen science. And I didn't hear it. So I don't know why.
So the citizen science.
For the citizen science, it is part of the BSU4 activity, but also for my studies, I will include some of the community to participate in seagrass restoration, because this is not a simple. Then, yeah, it is part of it, and also even one of the study area is Chumbe Island. I will collaborate with rangers to help me doing this activity. It is part of
citizen science as well, because we have already started training people on how to use some of the equipment that we'll be using for data collection. Thank you.
Very important reminder, Dr. Fatma. Thank you so much.
Asante. To all PhD students, I did not get your positionality. You will be doing your research on your own site. You are someone from here, and you will be also meeting for the one who will be discussing with some of the interviewees, the respondents, from whom you will get data. So it is a bit needed that you problematize, because the kind of the information you will get, it will have an impact on the way the people will see you, or the identities they will ascribe to you. So you need to think about that. So to the last presenter, Escalata with the scientific name, I think you should be a bit humble. It is advised not to say there is no study. Maybe say, to the best of your knowledge, there is maybe limited. You cannot just confirm that there is no study about what you are researching on. Thank you.
That's a very golden advice. I hope you consider it. Yes, this is very important, very important. And one more. Any last question? Yes.
Yeah, so that's for the first presentation. I thought it was this interesting, connection with the community-based co-creation, right? Where you were back there, yes. So where you are looking at that it's not just kind of the technological control measures and knowledge, but it's also like how that maps on to community perceptions and beliefs and practices and behavior and so on. So to make that link, and I was just wondering if you maybe already have some case studies or examples or hypotheses perhaps about what conditions allow for successful co-creation. So very interesting presentation. All of them were very interesting, by the way, so thank you.
I think I got you right as you're saying that a few of the studies I went through as a literature, they were subjecting that the practice and the knowledge plays a big part in behavioral change. And as we can see that one of the gap or the problem is poor waste management. That is also part of, we assume that is a breeding site for the mosquito. So when we tend to change behaviors and knowledge increase, that can also contribute to the practice of the controlling the mosquito breeding site. So sort of that kind of linkage, yeah.
So for that, I think I will hand over this to Mari. You answer something? Sure.
No, it's okay. That's okay, I think we can do a better clap. A huge thank you to all of you for presenting, and I know the PhDs from Hargeisa, they're like, this was us last year. I'm so glad we didn't do it this year. I do want to just mention a few things, and then we'll close out. So very briefly, one thing I want to say is I can see that you know how to take the pictures I'm asking for, because they're in your We also will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30 here, and we have a session where take us through their experiences with twinning, their relationships, and we'll have group work around South-South collaboration, twinning potentials, and those kind of things. And then, of course, during tomorrow, you also have some time for bilateral talks. That's also in the program, so please also keep that in mind. We are having dinner together at a hotel called Hotel Verde. It's actually not that far, but we have buses coming here at 7. So please, please, please be ready at 7. We will leave at 7 because otherwise it'll get too late and people get to bed too late and we'll be tired and all these things. Yeah? If we want to walk. If you want to walk, then I think you should grab the... No, okay. All right. Clearly not. So there's a bus both in Maramaru and one here. So I'm guessing for those of you staying in Maramaru, you would like to go back to maybe your hotel. So we are in the reception of Maramaru at 7. Yes. And the reception here at 7. Not 7:30.